The stars burned bright over the peaceful colony of Varda Prime. Its oceans shimmered like liquid silver under the light of twin suns. Humans had lived here for generations, quietly building their homes, raising children, and exploring the nearby planets. They had no interest in war, no desire for power. But the galaxy did not see them that way. Far beyond Varda Prime, a massive fleet of alien ships moved silently through space. The Krythians, a proud and war-hungry species, had been conquering planets across the sector for centuries. Their ships were enormous, armed with weapons that could destroy entire worlds. They believed humans would be easy prey, another weak species to dominate. On the surface of Varda Prime, Commander Elara, a calm but sharp-eyed woman, gazed at the stars. She sensed a strange energy shifting in the galaxy. "Something is coming," she whispered to her second-in-command, Liam. Liam frowned. "You've felt this before. What is it now?" Elara didn't answer. She only stared. Then the first warning appeared. A small, silver probe darted through the atmosphere, sending signals from the Krythian fleet. It was a warning: leave the humans alone, or face the consequences. Most humans would have panicked. Most humans would have run. But Elara was not most humans. She called a council of the colony's leaders. "They think we are weak," she said. "But we are not. They're about to find out exactly who they are dealing with." The council murmured uneasily. They had heard stories of the Krythians' power. Entire planets had been wiped out without warning. No human colony had ever stood against them. A sudden alert flashed across the control room. Sensors had detected a massive Krythian fleet approaching the system. The ships blocked out the light of the nearest sun, darkening the skies above Varda Prime. Citizens stopped their work and stared in awe and fear. Elara remained calm. "Prepare the defenses," she ordered. "Evacuate the civilians to the underground bunkers. And send a message to the Krythians." Liam shook his head. "We can't stop them. Our weapons are tiny compared to theirs." Elara smiled faintly. "We don't have to be bigger. We have to be smarter." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, Admiral Krythar of the Krythian fleet watched the small planet on his screen. He sneered. "Such tiny creatures. This will be easy." He activated his weapons. "Destroy them in minutes. Let no human survive." The first strike came without warning. Energy beams lanced down from the sky, hitting buildings and sending explosions into the air. Humans ran screaming, but Elara stood firm. She activated a series of automated defenses, shields and turrets hidden across the colony. The first attack faltered, hitting empty fields while humans fired back with precision from camouflaged positions. Liam looked amazed. "How is this possible? We barely have any weapons." Elara's eyes narrowed. "You underestimate humans. We are not just another species to conquer. And this is only the beginning." The Krythians continued their assault, sending wave after wave of ships into the atmosphere. Explosions tore through the city, and the ground shook as energy bombs hit the surface. But the humans fought back in ways the aliens could not predict. Small squads appeared where there should have been none, striking Krythian soldiers with incredible speed and efficiency. Inside the Krythian flagship, Admiral Krythar roared in anger. "How can they resist? We are the most powerful species in this sector. This is impossible." Back on Varda Prime, Elara coordinated the defenses. Humans used traps, decoys, and the planet's natural terrain to their advantage. Small fighter ships darted through canyons and asteroid belts, launching attacks on larger Krythian vessels. Each hit, though minor, frustrated the alien commanders. Then came the turning point. A human squad, hidden beneath the colony's surface, activated a device that had been a secret for decades. It sent a pulse of energy that disabled the weapons of several Krythian ships at once. Explosions erupted as the aliens' own weapons backfired, destroying some of their fleet. Admiral Krythar could not believe what he saw. What is this trick? What power do these humans possess? Elara watched from the command center as the tide began to turn. Citizens emerged from bunkers, some armed with makeshift weapons, others with nothing but courage. "We fight for our home," she told them, "and we will not surrender." The humans launched a coordinated counterattack. Fighter ships, turrets, and squads on the ground all worked together flawlessly. The Krythians, used to quick victories, were thrown into confusion. Their formations broke, their morale shattered. Liam watched in disbelief. They weren't ready for this. Elara nodded. Humans rarely are. But when pushed, we are unstoppable. The battle raged for hours. The sky above Varda Prime was filled with fire and smoke, lasers cutting through clouds, and explosions lighting up the night. Yet the humans held their ground. Every Krythian advance was met with an unexpected human tactic. Every attempt to break the colony's defenses ended in failure. Finally, the Krythians retreated. The surviving ships pulled back into orbit, badly damaged and humiliated. Varda Prime was scarred, but still standing. Humans emerged from the rubble, cheering and tending to the wounded. Elara surveyed the scene. She knew this was only the beginning. The Krythians would return, stronger and angrier. But she also knew humans had shown the galaxy a warning that could not be ignored. She spoke to her second-in-command, her voice calm but firm. They thought we were weak. They thought they could destroy us easily. They were wrong. And next time, we will be ready. Liam looked at her, eyes wide. Do you think they'll come back? Elara's gaze turned toward the stars. Of course. But let them come. We are humans. And we do not back down. The colony began to rebuild. Fires were extinguished, wounded healed, and the people worked together as one. There was fear, yes, but also pride. They had faced an enemy that had conquered countless worlds, and yet they had survived. They had shown the galaxy that humans were not to be underestimated. As night fell, the twin suns set over the horizon, casting long shadows across the ruined city. Elara stood atop the highest tower, looking at the stars where the Krythian fleet had disappeared. She whispered softly, almost to herself, "You should have left us alone." But in the depths of space, somewhere far away, Admiral Krythar prepared his next move. Rage burned in his eyes. He would return. And next time, he would not fail. Yet, for the first time in their history, humans were not afraid. They had discovered their strength, their resilience, and their unity. The unexpected turning point had arrived, and the galaxy would never forget the lesson of Varda Prime. The story of the humans had begun, not as a weak species, but as a force to be reckoned with. The sky above Varda Prime was still scarred from the battle, black smoke drifting across the once blue horizon. The humans had survived the first attack, but the war was far from over. Every eye looked to the stars with fear and determination. They had won a small victory, but the Krythians would not forget, and they would not forgive. Commander Elara stood on the command tower, her gaze fixed on the distant space where the Krythian fleet had disappeared. "They will return," she told her second-in-command, Liam. "And this time, they will come stronger. We must be ready, not just to defend, but to strike back." Liam frowned. "We are just one planet. How can we fight a fleet that destroys worlds?" Elara smiled faintly. "We fight like humans. We adapt. We use what they cannot see coming." The council gathered underground, in the bunkers that had protected civilians during the attack. Maps of nearby systems and strategic positions glowed on holographic displays. Every human leader, soldier, and strategist joined the discussion. "Rebuild the defenses," Elara ordered. "But more importantly, we must train our people. Every citizen must be ready. Every fighter must know their role. We cannot rely on luck again." Over the next days, humans moved like shadows across Varda Prime. Small teams infiltrated abandoned Krythian stations to gather information. Engineers developed new weapons, combining human ingenuity with salvaged alien tech. Even civilians were prepared, learning emergency protocols and helping in the construction of hidden bunkers and supply routes. Meanwhile, the Krythian fleet had not forgotten their defeat. Admiral Krythar convened his officers aboard the flagship, his tentacles tapping angrily against the control panel. "These humans are cleverer than we thought," he hissed. "But cleverness cannot save them. We will crush them, every last one." The Krythians did not know that humans had already begun striking back. Small fleets of human fighters moved swiftly, hitting supply ships and mining stations. They disappeared before Krythian sensors could react, leaving the aliens confused and frustrated. On Varda Prime, Elara oversaw the operations personally. "Timing is everything," she told her pilots. "Hit them where it hurts, then vanish. We fight smart, not just hard." One night, as twin moons rose above the colony, a small strike team led by Captain Rin infiltrated a Krythian supply depot. Using stolen uniforms and careful planning, the humans moved silently through the corridors. They planted explosives and hacked communications, sending false signals to the fleet. When the Krythians responded, they found only empty corridors. By the time they realized the sabotage, their supplies were gone. Panic spread among their ranks. Elara watched the sensors in the command room. "Every success we have will weaken their confidence," she said. "Fear is a weapon, as powerful as any gun." But the Krythians were not passive. They sent a strike fleet to Varda Prime, expecting to crush the humans with overwhelming force. Their ships thundered through space, ready to attack. Elara had anticipated this. The humans lured the Krythians into a narrow asteroid field. Smaller, faster human fighters darted between rocks, using the terrain to their advantage. The larger Krythian ships, slow and cumbersome, collided with asteroids or became easy targets. Liam's jaw dropped. They are falling into our trap?" Elara nodded. "Exactly. Patience and preparation are more dangerous than raw power." The battle was chaotic. Lasers cut through space like streaks of light, explosions lit up the darkness, and ships twisted and turned in deadly patterns. Humans coordinated their attacks flawlessly, communicating silently with signals and prearranged codes. Every move was calculated, every strike precise. In the midst of the chaos, a mysterious human ship appeared, unlike any the Krythians had seen. It was sleek, fast, and armed with weapons that fired with deadly accuracy. It moved through the battlefield like a phantom, destroying Krythian ships before disappearing into the shadows. Admiral Krythar roared in fury. "Find that ship. Kill it." But it was too late. The humans had already used the chaos to their advantage. Supply lines were cut, communication disrupted, and the Krythians were thrown into disarray. Elara coordinated the next move. "Now, strike at the core of their fleet. Divide them, and then destroy them in pieces. We fight as one." Human fighters surged forward, attacking isolated Krythian ships with precision. Engineers on Varda Prime remotely triggered traps, sending energy pulses that disabled alien weapons. It was not brute force that won the day, but cleverness, coordination, and the unexpected resilience of humans. The Krythians began to retreat, but Elara knew they had not learned their lesson. "This is only the beginning," she said. "They will return, but next time we will be ready for anything." As the humans celebrated their small victories, word spread across the galaxy. Other human colonies, inspired by Varda Prime's success, began organizing their own defenses and resistance strategies. Humans were no longer seen as weak prey, but as cunning and dangerous. Back on the Krythian flagship, Admiral Krythar seethed. "These humans, they are not what we expected. But they will not escape the wrath of the Krythian Empire." Elara, however, was not intimidated. She watched the stars, a determined smile on her face. "Let them come," she whispered. "We are humans, and we fight like no one else in the galaxy." As night fell on Varda Prime, the colony rebuilt faster than anyone could imagine. Fires were extinguished, damaged buildings repaired, and citizens trained for future battles. There was fear but also pride. Humans had proven that intelligence, unity, and courage could overcome even the most powerful enemy. Liam approached Elara. "Do you think they'll ever leave us alone?" Elara shook her head. "No. But that is not our concern. We will not run. We will not surrender. We fight. And we survive." A distant explosion echoed across space, a reminder that the war was far from over. But humans had shown their strength, and the galaxy had begun to take notice. The unexpected victories of Varda Prime marked the start of something new. Humans were rising, not as victims, but as a force that could challenge even the most powerful civilizations. And as the stars gleamed over the horizon, Elara knew that the human story was only beginning, and that every battle from now on would be fought with cunning, courage, and an unbreakable spirit. Humans had struck back, and the galaxy would never forget it. The galaxy had changed. Whispers of the human resistance spread like wildfire among star systems. Once dismissed as a weak species, humans were now a name that made even veteran soldiers pause. The Krythians, humiliated by their earlier defeats, prepared for revenge. Their fleet had been reinforced, weapons upgraded, and every captain ordered to crush humanity completely. Commander Elara stood on the command tower of Varda Prime, eyes scanning the stars. "They are coming," she said quietly. "And this time, they won't hold back." Her second-in-command, Liam, leaned over the map display. "We're outnumbered. Their fleet is massive, thousands of ships, far more than we have. How can we survive?" Elara's gaze did not waver. "We won't survive by brute force. We survive by being unpredictable, by fighting smart, by being human." Preparations began immediately. Every colony across the human-controlled systems was mobilized. Civilians trained as soldiers, engineers built new ships and weapons, and intelligence officers mapped every possible Krythian strategy. Humans were no longer scattered, weak, and defenseless. They were a united force, ready for the storm. Days later, the Krythian fleet appeared on the edge of human space. Millions of energy weapons glittered in the darkness of space. It was the largest fleet any human had ever seen, and their approach was precise and terrifying. Elara's fleet launched first. Small human ships, fast and agile, darted between larger vessels, using asteroids, gas clouds, and abandoned stations for cover. They attacked with precision, disabling engines, hacking systems, and retreating before the Krythians could respond. Every move was a calculated risk, every strike designed to confuse and fragment the enemy. Admiral Krythar, aboard the flagship Doomspire, roared in fury. "These humans, they are everywhere at once. How can a single species move so fast?" He ordered volleys of energy blasts to sweep through the asteroid field, but the humans had anticipated it. Mines, cloaked drones, and electromagnetic pulses disabled several Krythian ships at once. Explosions erupted in the darkness, scattering the fleet and creating chaos. On Varda Prime, Elara's eyes narrowed as she tracked enemy movements. "We divide them, then we strike their core," she instructed Liam. "Patience, timing, and surprise. That is our weapon." Meanwhile, human ground forces prepared for the invasion that everyone knew was inevitable. Cities were fortified, bunkers hidden beneath mountains, and the terrain itself turned into a deadly trap. Humans would not only fight in space, they would fight everywhere from planet surfaces to orbital stations. The Krythians underestimated them. The first planetary assault began on Eos Prime, a mining planet rich in resources. Krythian dropships descended, expecting minimal resistance. Instead, they were met with a coordinated strike of human fighters and orbital bombardments. Mines exploded under landing ships, ambushes hit ground forces, and the human soldiers seemed to appear from nowhere. Captain Rin, leading a human battalion, moved silently through ruined streets. "Remember," she whispered to her squad, "we are ghosts. Hit fast, vanish, and strike again." Every Krythian who landed was caught in traps, every armored vehicle disabled, every weapon stolen or destroyed. The human strategy was clear: fight smart, exploit weaknesses, and turn the aliens' confidence into fear. Above the planet, the space battle intensified. Human ships, though smaller, moved with lightning speed, using the terrain to ambush the alien vessels. Cloaked fighters fired torpedoes and vanished before the Krythians could retaliate. Engineers on Varda Prime remotely triggered planetary defense systems, creating electromagnetic storms that disabled Krythian sensors and weapons. Admiral Krythar's frustration grew. "They cannot be ordinary creatures. This is impossible," he shouted. "Every plan fails, but humans were not ordinary." In a daring maneuver, Elara led a strike team deep into the Krythian flagship. They bypassed security systems, using cloaking technology and stealth tactics. Their goal was simple: disrupt command, create confusion, and make the fleet vulnerable. Inside Doomspire, alarms blared. Krythian officers scrambled, unsure of the attack's origin. Explosions rocked the interior as humans set charges in critical areas. Ships in orbit lost coordination, firing on each other in accidental volleys. Chaos reigned. Liam watched the battle unfold on the main display. "We're actually winning?" he asked, disbelief in his voice. Elara's lips curled in a small smile. "Not winning yet. We're surviving, and that is how humans start to win." The Krythians, frustrated and enraged, tried to consolidate. They called for reinforcements, but humans anticipated this. Hidden squadrons struck at the incoming fleet, sabotaging engines and communications before they could join the battle. Slowly, systematically, the human strategy unfolded. On the ground, human squads disabled Krythian supply depots, cut communication lines, and captured critical data. Civilians fought alongside soldiers, setting traps, guiding units, and aiding in evacuation. The unity of humans, soldiers, and civilians alike proved terrifyingly effective. As the battle dragged on, the tide began to turn decisively. The Krythian fleet, once confident in their strength, began to falter. Ships were destroyed in surprising ways, commanders overruled one another, and panic spread. Elara knew the moment had come for the final strike. "Now," she ordered. "Hit their flagship. Hit their command. End this battle tonight." Human fighters converged on Doomspire. Cloaked and agile, they weaved through defenses and unleashed a concentrated attack. Torpedoes hit critical points, disabling weapons and engines. Charges planted inside the ship exploded simultaneously, sending fire and debris across space. Admiral Krythar roared in disbelief as his command center erupted in flames. His fleet, without coordination, fell into disarray. Ships collided, weapons malfunctioned, and the humans pressed their advantage relentlessly. Finally, the Krythian fleet began a full retreat, fleeing the battlefield in confusion and defeat. Humans had not just survived, they had won. Back on Varda Prime, citizens cheered as reports of victory spread across the colony. Fires were extinguished, wounded treated, and the people celebrated their unity and courage. Elara stood atop the command tower, looking at the stars where the Krythians had vanished. Liam approached, still amazed. We actually did it. We beat them." Elara shook her head slowly. "We survived. That is what humans do. And the galaxy has finally seen what we are capable of. But the war is not over. Every victory brings new challenges." The humans had learned a crucial lesson. Power is not just in weapons or numbers. It is in intelligence, courage, and unity. They had turned the tide, proving that even against the most powerful enemy, humans could rise, adapt, and strike back with devastating effect. As night fell, the stars over Varda Prime shone brighter than ever, a silent promise that humans would continue to fight, to resist, and to protect their home. The full-scale war had begun, but the unexpected power of humanity had already reshaped the galaxy. And somewhere in the distant reaches of space, Krythar vowed revenge. But humans were ready. They had learned the ways of the unexpected, and they would not back down. The story of humans as survivors, strategists, and warriors was no longer a secret. It was a warning. The galaxy had never seen a force like this. Word of human victories spread across star systems like wildfire. Once considered a weak and insignificant species, humans had proven that cunning, unity, and courage could challenge even the most powerful civilizations. Yet the Krythians had not given up. Their pride, anger, and thirst for revenge had grown after every defeat. Commander Elara stood atop the highest observation tower on Varda Prime. Her eyes scanned the stars. "They will come again," she said quietly. "And next time, we must be ready to end this." Liam joined her, anxiety etched on his face. "Do you really think we can finish them this time? Their fleet is huge." Elara's expression was calm but determined. "We can and we will." Humans fight not just with weapons, but with minds, courage, and strategy. That is our advantage. That is our power. Preparations began immediately. Every human colony was mobilized. Engineers built advanced ships, fighters, and orbital defenses. Scientists improved weapons using captured Krythian technology. Even civilians trained for battle, learning how to defend themselves and support the war effort. Humans were no longer scattered. They were united, prepared, and unstoppable. The Krythians, furious and desperate, launched their largest offensive yet. Their fleet, thousands of ships strong, advanced toward human space with a single goal: complete annihilation. The sky of Varda Prime darkened as the massive ships approached, casting shadows across the twin suns. Elara activated the colony's defense network. Remember what we learned. We fight smart, not just hard. We strike where they least expect it. Human ships moved in patterns no alien had ever anticipated. They darted between asteroids, through nebulae, and around abandoned space stations. Cloaked fighters appeared out of nowhere, striking Krythian ships with torpedoes and energy pulses, then vanishing into the shadows. Admiral Krythar, aboard the flagship Doomspire, could not understand what he was seeing. "These humans, they are everywhere at once," he shouted. "How can a single species move with such speed, such coordination?" On the ground, human squads prepared for the invasion of key colonies. They set traps, used terrain to their advantage, and coordinated strikes that left Krythian soldiers confused and vulnerable. Humans were ghosts, appearing and disappearing, striking with precision and efficiency. Captain Rin led a squad through the ruins of a city on Eos Prime. "Remember," she whispered, "we fight for our home. Hit fast, vanish, and hit again." Every Krythian who landed faced ambushes, hidden explosives, and skilled human fighters. No weapon, no armor, no strategy could counter the unexpected precision of the humans. In space, Elara coordinated a daring maneuver. "We hit their flagship at once," she commanded. "We end this battle tonight." Cloaked human fighters converged on Doomspire. Explosions rocked the interior as charges destroyed weapon systems and critical infrastructure. Ships in orbit lost coordination, firing on one another in accidental volleys. Panic spread among the Krythians as their super commander struggled to regain control. Admiral Krythar's roar echoed across the void. "Impossible! How can these humans survive everything?" Elara's eyes remained calm. "They underestimated us from the beginning. That is their mistake." The human fleet pressed forward, destroying isolated Krythian ships, cutting supply lines, and capturing key technology. Each victory was calculated, each strike designed to weaken morale and force chaos. Humans fought not with reckless fury, but with strategy and intelligence. Finally, the human strike reached the heart of the Krythian fleet. Doomspire, the once mighty flagship, erupted in flames. Its engines failed, weapons malfunctioned, and panic consumed the crew. Krythians abandoned ships, collided with each other, or fled in disorder. Humanity had achieved what no one thought possible, a decisive victory against the strongest empire in the sector. Back on Varda Prime, citizens cheered. Fires were extinguished, the wounded treated, and the people celebrated. Humans had proven that courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome any threat. Elara addressed her people. "You fought bravely, not just with weapons, but with your minds and hearts. Today, humans have shown the galaxy our strength. We are not weak. We are not prey. We are humans, and we will not be defeated." The victory had consequences. Across the galaxy, other alien species took notice. Some who had once ignored humanity began to fear them. Others, inspired by the humans' courage, offered alliances. The human reputation grew, not as conquerors, but as a species that could defend itself and strike with cunning precision. Liam approached Elara, awe in his eyes. "Do you think they'll try again?" Elara looked at the stars, now peaceful above Varda Prime. "Yes. And when they do, we will be ready. Humans do not surrender. Humans do not back down. We fight, we survive, and we prevail." The galaxy had witnessed the rise of humanity. Once underestimated, now feared and respected. The Krythians had been defeated, their pride shattered, their fleet broken. But more importantly, humans had discovered their strength, intelligence, courage, and unity. As night fell over Varda Prime, the twin moons reflected light on the rebuilt cities. Families gathered, soldiers rested, and engineers worked tirelessly to improve defenses. The humans were ready for the next challenge, no matter how great. Elara stood atop the observation tower, looking at the stars where the Krythians had fled. She whispered softly, almost to herself, "You should have left us alone." Now, the galaxy knows the cost of angering humans. And somewhere, far beyond the reach of human eyes, the surviving Krythians licked their wounds, planning revenge. But humanity had already changed the rules of the galaxy. No species would ever underestimate humans again. The war had ended, but the story of humanity was only beginning. From survivors to strategists, from ordinary citizens to heroes, humans had claimed victory not through sheer force, but through unity, cleverness, and courage. The galaxy would never forget the lesson of Varda Prime. Humans had risen. Humans had fought. And humans had won. The Krythians, furious and desperate, launched their largest offensive yet. Their fleet, thousands of ships strong, advanced toward human space with a single goal: complete annihilation. The sky of Varda Prime darkened as the massive ships approached, casting shadows across the twin suns. Elara activated the colony's defense network. Remember what we learned. We fight smart, not just hard. We strike where they least expect it. Human ships moved in patterns no alien had ever anticipated. They darted between asteroids, through nebulae, and around abandoned space stations. Cloaked fighters appeared out of nowhere, striking Krythian ships with torpedoes and energy pulses, then vanishing into the shadows. Admiral Krythar, aboard the flagship Doomspire, could not understand what he was seeing. "These humans, they are everywhere at once," he shouted. "How can a single species move with such speed, such coordination?" On the ground, human squads prepared for the invasion of key colonies. They set traps, used terrain to their advantage, and coordinated strikes that left Krythian soldiers confused and vulnerable. Humans were ghosts, appearing and disappearing, striking with precision and efficiency. Captain Rin led a squad through the ruins of a city on Eos Prime. "Remember," she whispered, "we fight for our home. Hit fast, vanish, and hit again." Every Krythian who landed faced ambushes, hidden explosives, and skilled human fighters. No weapon, no armor, no strategy could counter the unexpected precision of the humans. In space, Elara coordinated a daring maneuver. "We hit their flagship at once," she commanded. "We end this battle tonight." Cloaked human fighters converged on Doomspire. Explosions rocked the interior as charges destroyed weapon systems and critical infrastructure. Ships in orbit lost coordination, firing on one another in accidental volleys. Panic spread among the Krythians as their super commander struggled to regain control. Admiral Krythar's roar echoed across the void. "Impossible! How can these humans survive everything?" Elara's eyes remained calm. "They underestimated us from the beginning. That is their mistake." The human fleet pressed forward, destroying isolated Krythian ships, cutting supply lines, and capturing key technology. Each victory was calculated, each strike designed to weaken morale and force chaos. Humans fought not with reckless fury, but with strategy and intelligence. Finally, the human strike reached the heart of the Krythian fleet. Doomspire, the once mighty flagship, erupted in flames. Its engines failed, weapons malfunctioned, and panic consumed the crew. Krythians abandoned ships, collided with each other, or fled in disorder. Humanity had achieved what no one thought possible, a decisive victory against the strongest empire in the sector. Back on Varda Prime, citizens cheered. Fires were extinguished, the wounded treated, and the people celebrated. Humans had proven that courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome any threat. Elara addressed her people. "You fought bravely, not just with weapons, but with your minds and hearts. Today, humans have shown the galaxy our strength. We are not weak. We are not prey. We are humans, and we will not be defeated. The victory had consequences. Across the galaxy, other alien species took notice. Some who had once ignored humanity began to fear them. Others, inspired by the humans' courage, offered alliances. The human reputation grew, not as conquerors, but as a species that could defend itself and strike with cunning precision. Liam approached Elara, awe in his eyes. Do you think they'll try again? Elara looked at the stars, now peaceful above Varda Prime.
Yes.
And when they do, we will be ready. Humans do not surrender. Humans do not back down. We fight, we survive, and we prevail. The galaxy had witnessed the rise of humanity. Once underestimated, now feared and respected. The Krythians had been defeated, their pride shattered, their fleet broken. But more importantly, humans had discovered their strength, intelligence, courage, and unity. As night fell over Varda Prime, the twin moons reflected light on the rebuilt cities. Families gathered, soldiers rested, and engineers worked tirelessly to improve defenses. The humans were ready for the next challenge, no matter how great. Elara stood atop the observation tower, looking at the stars where the Krythians had fled. She whispered softly, almost to herself, "You should have left us alone." Now, the galaxy knows the cost of angering humans. And somewhere, far beyond the reach of human eyes, the surviving Krythians licked their wounds, planning revenge. But humanity had already changed the rules of the galaxy. No species would ever underestimate humans again. The war had ended, but the story of humanity was only beginning. From survivors to strategists, from ordinary citizens to heroes, humans had claimed victory not through sheer force, but through unity, cleverness, and courage. The galaxy would never forget the lesson of Varda Prime. Humans had risen. Humans had fought. And humans had won.